very good evening and thank you for joining GBS News at 9. My name is Susan Nganga. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Alan Kiama. We begin this bulletin where Kenya's opposition, led by former Deputy President Honorable Geoffrey Gachagua and the former Vice President Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, have vowed to give no chance for dialogue with President William Ruto. The leaders, who made their way to Machakos County, stated on President Ruto's attempt to convince Kalonzo Musyoka to join his government, which, according to them, is impossible, and have promised a one-term to President Ruto and his administration, as Davis Karani now reports.
It was a busy day for the country's opposition in their move to deconstruct President William Ruto's administration, stating that it doesn't matter the ways that the president will use to entice the former Vice President Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka to join his government, it will all be in vain.
Na mimi nimemwambia Ruto amezidi kutuma vijana ati watafute Kalonzo, ati aende kwa Kasongo. Anaweza? Mimi nimemwambia William Ruto, imeamuliwa leo Ukambani na Mlima, sisi ni familia moja. Wewe William Ruto, ukitaka kuongea na Kalonzo, ukuje kwa mimi Giriji, uniambie unatakia Kalonzo nini. Harambe!
At the same time, the former Vice President Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka urged Kenyans to oust President William Ruto in the forthcoming general elections due to his failure to deliver his promise to Kenyans.
Jamaa amejua naenda nyumbani. Watu wa Malawi jana walisema one term. Watu wa Botswana walisema one term. Watu wa huko Liberia walisema one term. Hata watu wa Nigeria walisema one term. Watu wa Kenya tunasemaje? Nikisema Wiper ndasema komboa Kenya. Wiper. Wiper. Nikisema Wiper tena sema one term. Wiper.
Leo mumekuwa na serikali mbili. Serikali inayoondoka ya Bwana Kasongo na serikali inayokuja. Muko tayari kupokea hiyo serikali?
But the battle is still looming in the opposition on who will lead this swing in the general elections between Matiang'i, Kalonzo Musyoka and Geoffrey Gachagua.
Sisi kula Kadhiani kuna kitu tumesema. Tunasema iko tofauti ya kula na kura. Si ni kweli? Baito tofauti ya kula na kura. Kula Kadhiani Excellency tunasema tutakula kwa Ruto, lakini kura ni kwa Kalonzo Musyoka. Mungu awabariki sana.
Davis Karani for GBS News, Nairobi.
And now to President Ruto, where he praised the achievement of the Kenya-led security mission in Haiti, saying it has brought real progress in restoring order to the gang-ravaged nation. Speaking at the United Nations in New York, the president urged the international community to urgently back a stronger successor mission, warning that fragile gains could be lost without sustained global support. Here are the details. President William Ruto is urging the international community to rally behind the Kenya-led security mission in Haiti, saying it has delivered real change in a country once crippled by gang violence. At a high-level meeting on Haiti during the United Nations General Assembly in New York, Ruto pointed to what he called transformative gains made under the multinational security support mission.
I must commend the Haitian government for the cooperation they have given to the MSS, without which it would have been a lot more difficult to achieve what has been achieved. I must also single out the Haitian police leadership. They have been immensely useful and they have worked in collaboration with MSS in the efforts that we have undertaken.
The mission was launched in June last year when 200 Kenyan police officers touched down in Port-au-Prince. Today, it has expanded to nearly 1,000 personnel drawn from 6 countries, with Kenya contributing the majority. Despite being less than half the intended strength of 2,500, the deployment has reclaimed gang-controlled areas, reopened schools,
Habari yako? Mzuri sana.
restored port and airport operation, and significantly reduced cases of kidnapping and extortion.
Since our deployment as MSS on June 25th, 2024, we have been confident that MSS is a mission possible. Henceforth, we have been duty-bound, guided by a singular objective: to help re-establish security and support the Asian National Police against gang violence and create the conditions necessary for free and fair elections in Haiti. In pursuit of its mandate, the MSS mission has so far disrupted criminal networks and repelled numerous gang attacks.
Ruto said the mission's success is proof of effective partnership between Kenyan officers and the Haitian National Police. He cited the graduation of 750 new recruits and ongoing leadership training for senior officers as evidence that local capacity is being rebuilt.
The police headquarters and the police training center had been overrun by gangs. Today, the police headquarters is safe. The police academy is working. In fact, they have just graduated 750 police officers from that training center, which was initially a home of gangs.
But he also cautioned that these gains could easily be reversed without stronger global backing.
If we don't correct the mistakes of the past, we will most unlikely succeed. If we are sending an additional security team to Haiti, the mandate must be clear. Number one, we must be very clear on the mandate of what it is supposed to achieve. Number two, we must have a predictable resource package. It cannot be what Kenya has gone through, a game of guesswork. You know, voluntary, depending on people's goodwill, depending on when they have time and when they can get some attention. It is my very considered view that we must have the necessary logistical support to be able to make that mission succeed.
The United Nations Security Council is set to vote in the coming days on whether to approve the new mission. For Kenya, the outcome will not only shape Haiti's future, but also reaffirm its growing role in international peace operations. Health and Professional Standards Principal Secretary Mary Muthoni has warned that tobacco, shisha, and other emerging drugs remain banned in Kenya, urging communities, churches, and county officials to strengthen their fight against substance abuse, which she said is destroying the lives of many young people. Here are the details.
Speaking in their constituency in Kirinyaga County, during a meeting with church leaders and residents, Mary Muthoni reminded the public that Tobacco Control Act of 2007 prohibits smoking in public, restricts cigarette advertising, and bans the establishment of clubs near schools. She raised concern over the rising use of shisha and e-cigarettes, even in rural areas, despite the government's clear ban. The PS also cautioned against second-hand smoke, calling on parents not to expose children to smoking at home or in public. Muthoni further directed public health officials to enforce existing laws, saying they have the authority and capacity to protect communities from harmful substances.
Tobacco Control or Tobacco Control Act of 2007 in its regulations prohibits smoking in public places. And this is something that I would want enhanced by bar owners, restaurants, and public places. A restriction of advertisement, promotion and sponsorship of tobacco products, and it mandates clear health warnings. So wale watu wako na bars na restaurants, and in the first place, mambo ya mashule watu wawache kuvutia tobacco karibu ama kuweka clubs karibu na mashule.
The PS said tobacco and alcohol remain silent but expensive killers, urging zero tolerance for smoking in schools, homes, and public spaces. She added that churches must play a central role in sensitizing communities about healthy living, while also helping families embrace government health programs, such as the Social Health Authority. She commended President William Ruto and well-wishers who have stepped in to pay health insurance premiums for vulnerable families, noting this will ease the medical burden on households.
So what His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, is doing is just to implement the Constitution of Kenya and ensure that every Kenyan accesses quality health care for all. We are committed. Please ensure you register yourself, your relatives, and everybody else.
Muthoni reaffirmed the Ministries of Health's commitment to partner with local leaders, churches, and county governments to tackle drugs abuse while expanding access to affordable health care. She also assured residents of ongoing projects in Kirinyaga, including affordable housing, roads, and the new Kagio town market, which she said will boost livelihoods once complete. Molin Rono, GBS News.
It is time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback streaming into our social media platforms at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is 21144. We'll be right back.
Anza wiki yako kwa njia sahihi kwa GBS Jumatatu.
Niko nawe hadi mida ya saa 4 asubuhi. Kwanza niseme asante kwa kuzidi kufuatilia na kutazama vipindi vyetu ambavyo huwa tunakuandalia hapa ndani ya GBS TV Jumatatu.
People are now seeing the money that have been given to church as a bribe.
Jiunge nasi kila Jumatatu asubuhi kuanzia saa 1:30.
Nimesikia mwenzangu akifanya hesabu hapo ya vile ambavyo miungano zitakuwa. Ruto is going to fail whether with Raila or without Raila.
Kuna mahali anakosea akisema ati Raila na Ruto wataungana. Hakuna kuungana iko hapo, ndugu yangu, aje nikwambie ukweli.
Hadithi za kunoga.
Ukiangalia Wakenya, wananchi wa Kenya, pia hao maisha yao imedhulumiwa kwa kuongezwa kwa taxes, ziko very high taxes. So the statement by the Rigathi Gachagua is just statement ya kumcheck that we can see you we can see between the lines.
Na mazungumzo yenye nguvu ya kukuletea utulivu kwa wiki yako.
Ati Raila ataingia UDA hapo
hiyo ndoto mimi yote nasema hawezi, sababu nasema hivi mheshimiwa, ikiwa Raila
itakuwa, mimi naona itakuwa
hadi saa 4 za asubuhi kwa majadiliano ya kusisimua.
Mheshimiwa Rais William Samoei Ruto ajue ya kwamba sasa yeye ni president wa Kenya. Sio mambo ya kufanyia wana Kenya mzaha. Kupoteza biashara kwa siku moja katika CPD, nafikiria ni jambo ambalo ni rahisi.
Usikose, ingia kwenye GBS TV. Anza Jumatatu yako kwa kusudi.
If the government does not spend, my brother, hakuna maendeleo inaonekana, hakuna barabara zinatengenezwa, hakuna dawa kwa hospitali, my friend, economies will not grow.
Tuonane panapo majaliwa yake Mwenyezi Mungu.
GBS Jumatatu, palipo mjadala wa leo na mwelekeo wa kesho.
Where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I stay. Where you move, I move. I will follow you.
Welcome to our Bible story.
Are you ready? Great! Today we are going to learn about a story about a widow of Zarephath. And he said unto him, Thou hast answered right. This do, and thou shalt live.
Before I conclude, I would like us to read and see what is the will of the Father towards each and every one of us.
Children, as you listen to that story, what have you been able to learn?
And remember, this is Kids Mind, the Bible story. And as usual, this is where we learn, we laugh, and we explore.
Everywhere, GBS. Welcome back to the bulletin. And now, civil society groups are warning lawmakers against any attempt to extend presidential term limits. Their message comes amid quiet lobbying in Parliament and a recent presidential remark that stirred speculation. Let's take a listen.
In Nairobi, a coalition of civil society organizations has issued a firm warning to members of parliament and senators: do not tamper with presidential term limits. The group says any move to extend the current two-term cap will undermine public trust and threaten Kenya's democratic foundation.
We wish to inform Kenyans that the term limit cannot be extended without a referendum, and yet the same parliament has not enacted a referendum law for the last 15 years. We urge all Kenyans to reject any attempt by parliament and the executive to enact backdoor constitutional amendment.
The statement follows report of behind-the-scene lobbying for a possible constitutional amendment. While no formal proposal has been surfaced, activists say the silence from key lawmakers is troubling.
Any form or alteration of the constitution, especially on the structure of government and extension of the term, requires a referendum. Unfortunately, we don't have a referendum law, and the same parliament has not passed it, and that alone cannot allow them to proceed.
Adding to the tension, a recent comment by the president made during a church anniversary last Thursday has drawn attention. While framed around national progress, the remark has sparked quiet debate over its timing and tone.
By end of this month, we will have 650 billion. By end of 2027, we will have 1 trillion shillings at NSSF. Tell me what's going to happen in 5 years. Tell me what's going to happen in 10 years, in 20.
With Parliament set to reconvene, the issue is expected to linger, and any movement could trigger swift public reaction. Reporting for GBS TV, I'm Ibrahim Said.
And now to matters education. The national government is under scrutiny for what has been called sabotage of the education sector. Machakos Deputy Governor Francis Mwangangi states that the Kenya Kwanza administration has failed to prioritize education, leaving schools to struggle for survival. Paul M. Minor with the details.
Speaking in Kalama Ward while presiding over a program to support needy students, Deputy Governor Francis Mwangangi criticized the national government for crippling the education system by redirecting resources into politics instead of education.
Now, lazima tusaidiane sisi wote. Na niwaambie jambo moja ambayo najua more than 3/4 of you wanajua. Ukweli ni kwamba without education, musiseme mmesomesha watoto wanakula mkukaa huku hawajapata. No, tusomeshe. Tusomeshe. Please, my good people, na waomba kwa heshima kuu, we put more of our interest in education. We must educate our people. That is the way to go. Being important as it is, education empowers, education inspires, it equalizes all of us. Yeah? Hii capitation lazima iachiliwe ndio walimu wetu waweze kusimamia mashule zetu na watoto wetu waweze kuendelea kuwa shuleni.
Mwangangi emphasized that education is the foundation of livelihoods for millions of Kenyans and should be prioritized in the national budget. He warned that failing to provide capitation funds has led to financial crisis in school, with some institutions facing early closure this term.
So we must value and invest in education. And equally, I will continue pressing our national government. Please, there is no way this country is going to have meaningful transformation, development-wise, unless we put our resources right at the center of the education.
The deputy governor demanded that the Kenya Kwanza administration explain the Kenyans why it is frustrating the education sector, emphasizing that no country can thrive without education, which he described as the pillar of success in any society. Reporting for GBS TV, I'm Paul M. Minor.
And now to matters marine. The Kenya Coast Guard Service has reaffirmed its commitment to safeguarding fishermen in Lake Victoria, urging stakeholders to volunteer timely information to help boost security and safety in the region. Here are the details.
Speaking at Usenge Beach in Bondo constituency, during the closure of a 2-day safety sensitization exercise, Inland Water Body Squadron Commander Lieutenant Commander Mwandungo Mwinyi said closer working relations between the service and the community remain critical to achieving positive results. Mwinyi cited a recent success where Coast Guard's officers intercepted foreigners who were harassing fishermen near Sumba Island within Kenyan waters. After receiving timely alerts from members of the public, the sensitization exercise was aimed not only at promoting safety, but also building trust and understanding among stakeholders. The program also featured interactive sporting activities between officers and fishing community as part of confidence-building measures.
So this event is one of the platform that we are able to educate the community and the fishers on our mandate and what we do, and basically to tell them what we actually, why the government came up with the idea of Kenya Coast Guard Service. Initially, before the Coast Guard, we used to have a lot of challenges. They are still there, but at least since the coming of the Coast Guard, they have little bit reduced. So we are doing this basically to sensitize the community on the mandate of the Kenya Coast Guard.
According to Mwinyi, more than 500 fishermen around Lake Victoria have already undergone safety training, with plans underway to reach over half of the region's fishing population in the coming months. Siaya County Beach Management Unit Coordinator Willis Ochieng welcomed the initiative, terming it as timely and impactful for local fishing community. Usenge Beach Management Unit leaders Dedan Ajima and Rogers Onyango also praised the program, sponsored by the International Organization on Migration, for fostering closer relations between the public and the Coast Guard.
Since we started engaging the FISAFO community, they've started training the FISAFO community on safeties at the lake. and engagement on like for today we are having an activity games organized by the Coast Guard team with our staff for community, so that they can come together, gel together, interact together, so that if at all there's a problem at the lake, or if Coast Guard get them into the lake, they should not be afraid of the Coast Guard, because now they've made some friendship. And going forward, I want to believe that this training they are offering are of great importance to our officer for community.
Muni assured that the Coast Guard will continue enhancing security measures on Lake Victoria to guarantee a safe and productive environment for fishermen, while encouraging continued collaboration from the community. Molly Rono, GBS News.
It is time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback streaming into our social media platforms at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is 21144. We'll be right back with more international news.
We're going to be talking about the rock industry and rock culture in Kenya.
When an artist goes into a studio thinking about a hit song, God walks out of the room. So msanii achaguangi hit, hakuna msanii. Msanii achaguangi hit, like even most of the hit songs, some of the songs zinakuanga zile msanii hata apendi kwa hiyo.
Well, that's true. This pressure that is coming in, you need to feed your audience what they want to be fed with, right? What is trending, you need to go as per what is trending. So if you ask a majority of people out here, yes, rock music is there, it is being played, but it's not recognized sana.
Some years back, reggae music used to have a stereotype too. Reggae ilikuwa watu wa bangi, ya watu
sijui ready.
Kama mtu alikufa, assuming someone died who died in the 90s, someone died in 1995, akifufuka saa hii na watu wanasikia reggae, he'd be very shocked. My goal is to demystify rock in Africa, kwa sababu music is music. Guitar, the rock, all music came from Africa. Muziki haina kabila. How do I put muziki haina kabila? In fact, they'd be shocked. The rock music we know as of now came from black people. Wakamba ndio marockstar Kenya. Hi Kambas. You know the way they play the guitar is just an expression. Yeah, there's Kikuyu, gospel, hard rock. A guy called Kanyaki, for example. So it's very misunderstood. Watu wanasema ni ya madevo, ni ya wazungu.
Coming up on Mta Madness. Love collides with betrayal. An unexpected truth will shake the neighborhood to its core.
Semanga huu ankojemu atiajai kuletea kitu. Haya. Ndio hiyo. Miracle. Umetoa pia anko. Usijali, hiyo ni mambo yangu. Check expiry 2022. Kwa 2025. Ni mkebe ime-expire kitu iko ndani ni legit.
Decision, one secret, and a storm no one saw coming.
Apparently, the pastor's hoodie has sports betting code embroidered
When trust breaks,
all rent must be paid via M-Pesa or bank transfer.
the fallout is inevitable.
Nauliza, na hii kili yako iko registered under which name? Kwa jina gani? Madam Transparency. Tuliona Fraud Surprise Limited. Kioski bila stoko.
Next time, the past refuses to stay buried.
Jackpot promotion. Unajua? Ndio jackpot promotion. Naifahamu. Wamekuletea. So, unaweza jienjoy. Nashukuru sana.
Sasa ndio mnajua kugonga. What they don't know won't light their torches.
Ta Madness, a choice that changes everything.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the bulletin and now to the international news. The United Nations is sounding the alarm over Sudan, warning that the country's conflict is spiraling further out of control. A new human rights report details a surge in civilian killings, ethnic violence, and atrocities, with thousands of people dead in just 6 months. Let's take a look.
You see the level of destruction for the past 2 years. This is heartbreaking. I spent 2 years of my life in this generous country. In this country which has shown solidarity to hundreds of thousands of refugees over the years. Pionnier in Khartoum, as you can see, is destroyed, totally destroyed. The level of destruction that I have just witnessed in Khartoum explains to you why we have over 4 million people who have been forced to flee this country and go into neighboring countries.
Rising civilian casualties, growing ethnic violence, and a worsening humanitarian crisis in Sudan are the grim findings of a new United Nations human rights report released in Geneva. The Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights says the conflict-driven crisis has intensified, with thousands of civilians killed in recent months.
The conflict-driven crisis has intensified, pointing to a rise in civilian killings, including summary executions, amid growing ethnic violence and a worsening humanitarian situation.
Between January and June this year, at least 3,384 civilians were documented killed, most of them in Darfur, accounting for nearly 80% of all civilian deaths recorded in 2024. The real toll is believed to be far higher.
Several major offensives and mass casual incidents were particularly deadly. In April, an offensive by the Rapid Support Forces in Al Fasher and other areas in North Darfur resulted in at least 527 deaths, including over 270 in Zamzam and Abu Shuk camps for displaced people. In March, airstrikes by the Sudan Armed Forces on Torah Market in North Darfur killed at least 350 civilians, including 13 members of one family.
The report also details nearly 1,000 unlawful killings outside combat, many carried out through summary execution. Witnesses describe children as young as 14 executed during Sudanese Armed Forces search operation in Khartoum earlier this year.
One witness who observed SAF search operations in civilian neighbourhoods in East Nile, Khartoum, between March and April, said that he saw children as young as 14 and 15 years of age, accused of being RSF members, summarily killed.
UN human rights officials warn that impunity is fueling further atrocities, including war crimes. They say civilians attempting to flee Al Fasher face impossible choices.
This violence, in all of its vile forms, must end. Impunity continues to drive cycles of violations and abuses. To stop this, accountability is critical to hold those responsible to account. Sudan's conflict is a forgotten one, and we hope that this report puts the spotlight on the disastrous situation where atrocity crimes, including war crimes, are being committed.
Guinea is voting in a historic constitutional referendum today, a process widely viewed as a turning point for the West African nation as it seeks to break away from years of military rule. The proposed changes, which include presidential term limits and stronger institutional checks, are being billed as a major step towards restoring civilian governance and rebuilding public trust in the country's democratic future. Here are the details.
The proposed constitutional changes aim to restore democratic governance by limiting presidential terms and strengthening institutions. The referendum comes nearly 3 years after the military seized power in a coup that overturned former President Alpha Conde. In the lead up to today's vote, the junta has pledged to oversee a transition process, insisting that the referendum marks a decisive step in rebuilding public trust and opening space for competitive politics. Civil society groups and opposition parties remain cautious, calling for transparency and international monitoring to guarantee credibility.
Yes, of course, because this is to our advantage. From the articles that I've read, I couldn't take the time to read every single one, but anyway, the majority that I read are really in our interest. So I'm confident for the referendum. I'm very proud to be here today because it's my first time voting. All Guineans are very proud today. This is what I can tell you.
Guinea has faced repeated cycles of political unrest, with disputed elections and coups undermining stability. The country's mineral wealth, particularly in bauxite, has long contrasted with the poverty faced by ordinary citizens, fueling frustrations with past governments.
The vote is important for the future of the Guinean people. Everyone who loves the Guinean people must accept the need to obey the law. And when we speak of the law, we speak of leadership. Who is the leader? It's all of us. Today, there are ethnic groups, but I don't count ethnicity. We're all Guineans. Let's join hands to vote in peace and transparency.
If approved, the new constitution is expected to pave way for parliamentary elections next year, followed by a presidential poll that will end military rule and return Guinea to a civilian-led government. Molin Ronum, GBS News.
It is time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback streaming into our social media platforms at GBS TV Africa. We'll keep you more updated at our platforms at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is 21144. We'll be right back.
A student can transition from other curriculums such as the Kenyan CBC curriculum, the Pearson EdXL curriculum, and the IB curriculum to the Cambridge curriculum.
My name is Ima Gatoru. I'm a model, a commercial model to be precise. And I've been asked this question, like, is model an art? And yes, modeling is an art because there are different products that you're supposed to promote or design, and you have to have that skill of you promoting that design or that product. So how you walk, how you talk, how you present yourself, like how you pose for a picture or pose for an item in your mepewa, or how you drive into a place in your mepewa. So you have to have that art or that skill for you to actually deliver what they want you to deliver. So yeah, modeling is an art.
Everywhere. And now to an updating story. Tens of thousands of people attended a memorial service in Arizona for Charlie Kirk, the right-wing U.S. activist and founder of Turning Point USA, who was shot dead this month. The event took place on Sunday at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, with seats more than 63,000 people. Organizers said additional space was arranged and nearby to accommodate overflow crowds. President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and several other Republicans addressed the gathering, which Turning Point USA called Building a Legacy, Remembering Charlie Kirk.
Revival meeting. One part political rally and one part celebration of life for a fallen martyr to the conservation cause.
Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him.
The Super Bowl-sized memorial service for conservative icon Charlie Kirk held the feel of a state funeral. The corridors of conservative power in Washington were largely empty, transported for a day to State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona.
Please welcome to the stage Secretary Marco Rubio.
The roster of speakers included much of the presidential cabinet, Vice President J.D. Vance, and was headlined by President Donald Trump.
Charlie has been reunited with his creator in heaven. His voice on earth will echo through the generations.
A capacity crowd of tens of thousands lined up in the pre-dawn hours to honor the man many credit with putting Donald Trump in office with the votes of young conservatives.
He really was the first person to reach out to the youth in the conservative movement. He made conservatism cool again.
Alyssa Grover attended the Utah University appearance where Kirk was shot.
When I heard the bullet, I turned my head and everyone got down and we were down for like maybe 30 seconds-ish and then everyone started running.
Kirk's death has launched a debate over the Trump administration promise to crack down on liberal voices the president accuses of fomenting violence, to the thousands inside and outside of State Farm Stadium who formed the cult of Kirk. The thousands inside and outside of State Farm Stadium who formed the cult of Kirk. He is the personification of free speech. To the administration he served, Kirk's lasting legacy may well be to serve a justification for a government campaign to suppress it. Reporting for GBS TV, I'm Paul M. Minor.
President Trump has voiced opposition to Western allies' recognition of a Palestinian state hours after the UK, Canada, and Australia made coordinated announcements. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also rejected the move.
The United Kingdom formally recognizes the state of Palestine.
The United Kingdoms, Canada and Australia have formally recognized the state of Palestine, citing the need to support diplomatic effort towards a two-state solution. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer called the move a moral step made in response to the ongoing conflict in Gaza.
But a lot of bad things. You know, Hamas said that they're going to put the hostages up as bait. They're going to put the hostages in front of any attack. And that's pretty brutal. We haven't heard that one in a long time. So we have to remember that. So I have a disagreement with the Prime Minister on that score. Okay? One of our few disagreements, actually.
And then for both of you all.
But you do understand about October 7th.
Of course,
you do understand.
So believe me, I understand.
One of the worst.
President Donald Trump, speaking alongside Starmer in London, expressed disagreement. He described the recognition as one of our few disagreements, signaling a rare divide between the US and its closest allies. Trump reiterated support for Israel and avoided direct comment on its military actions.
יש לי מסר ברור לאותם מנהיגים שמכירים במדינה פלסטינית לאחר הטבח הנורא ב7 באוקטובר. אתם מעניקים פרס עצום לטרור. ויש לי מסר נוסף עבורכם. זה לא יהיה. לא תקום מדינה פלסטינית ממערב לירדן.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu condemned the recognitions, stating that a Palestinian state must not exist and warned that such move undermines regional stability.
כן. הכפלנו את ההתיישבות היהודית ביהודה ושומרון ונמשיך בדרך זו.
With more countries expected to weigh in, attention now shifts to the UN General Assembly, where the future of Palestinian statehood will face its next test. Reporting for GBS TV, I'm Ibrahim Said.
And now in Canada, protesters have taken to the streets in several Canadian cities today, targeting Mark Carney's emerging political agenda and raising concerns over his growing influence in national politics. The demonstrations deflect a widening debate on whether the former Bank of England and Bank of Canada governor should play a direct role in shaping the country's political future. Demonstrators gathered outside government buildings and financial institutions, holding placards and chanting slogans against what they described as an elitist agenda. Organizers rather accused Carney of using his global financial credentials to push policies that do not reflect the priorities of working Canadians. Some protesters expressed fear that his focus on climate finance and green economic reforms could impose higher costs of families already struggling with inflation and job insecurity. Others questioned his close ties with international financial institutions, arguing that his political positioning may prioritize global interest over domestic concerns. Carney, who has been mentioned as a potential future leader within the Liberal Party, has yet to confirm his political ambitions, but has increasingly appeared at major policy reforms, sparking speculations.
Right now we're seeing this moment where the federal government is pushing forward anti-people, anti-climate, anti-indigenous, anti-migrant agendas. Every law that Carney has put into place since now is about enriching the CEOs and hurting a common people. He's arming Israel, he's pushing people against migrants, and we're saying no to that. We are drawing the line.
We are now at code red on the planet Earth. Humanity is unequivocally facing a climate emergency. And what we're here to say is stop all of the political, the economic stuff, and the legal stuff. We are in an emergency, and we've got to act as it is an emergency.
Michael G. Waltz has officially taken up his post as the United States Permanent Representative to the United Nations. In New York, he presented his credentials to Secretary General Antonio Guterres, completing his formalities that mark the start of his diplomatic assignment. Waltz, a former congressman, an army officer, steps into a role at a time when the UN faces mounting pressure over global conflicts, humanitarian crises, and calls for reform. His arrival comes just days before the General Assembly reconvenes, where his first statements could signal Washington's tone on key international issues. No major remarks were made during the credential ceremony, but Waltz's presence is already drawing attention. Observers now wait to see how he'll navigate the UN's divided landscape and whether his approach will reflect continuity or change U.S. foreign policy. We have come to the end of the news bulletin. It's always a pleasure having you on board. Let's do this again next time, some channel. My name is Susan Nganga, and our sign language tonight has been Alan Kiama. Have a good night.